We are live. We are back for another episode of DNQ's Kettle On. There's two things you'll notice immediately. One, the lighting. I can sort of play with it as I please, but I'm definitely going to have to. turn it down a bit. That's for sure. That's way too bright. But there is no real good solution here. Light-wise, we may have to go with that. Unfortunately, in Britain, even though it's literally the 2nd of September, it's not even 8 o'clock and it's dark outside. So I'm going to have to do something about the lighting setup. I'm due to move soon, so I will have extra space then. So you won't be here with me in my room with my personal belongings, my dressing gown there, for example. It will have a more professional feel. Also considering whether or not we need the shirts rail up nice and close and behind me to just block out what we've got behind us in the meantime. But that's the first thing you'll notice, is that there's clearly a light here. You can see the reflection there. It's not doing wonders for my complexion, but otherwise you wouldn't be able to see me. So this is what we're going to have to deal with for this evening. Second thing you'll notice, there's only me here this evening. My dynamic DNQ duo has abandoned me for the evening. It's fair enough, we only do it every Thursday. But nonetheless, this will be a shorter stream, but we still have plenty of things to cover. And I know what you're wondering. And it's Oldham. This isn't a sensational shirt, hence why this is not an international jersey, but it is nonetheless one as part of my collection, and it's a very nice Oldham shirt, I must say. Part of the sort of Hummel, whatever you want to say, resurgence prior to them going back to then Everton, and they produced some really nice kits in the Premier League in the last few years. This Oldham strip, very nice one, in orange as well, which, I don't mind. Anyway, shall we get on to World Cup qualifiers? In a word, wow. There's so many games to talk through. If I'm looking that way, I'm just checking the score lines, because we've got some games going on live right now all across the world, which is incredible. But the first thing is to update on where we are. So in Asia, we are currently in the third round, and today was the first day of those third round games. Of course, it's now split out into group stages, and it's very tough for a number of teams. In Africa, we're in the second round. That kicked off yesterday with a number of games which I will run through. And we are in the octagonal for the CONCACAF region, and that kicks off tomorrow from a UK perspective at 1:05 in the morning. But obviously for someone in the US, that will be later on today. We're not going to cover Europe, we're not going to cover CONMEBOL, and we're not going to cover Oceania because it hasn't started yet. Of course, more on the Oceania when we find out what's going on in that part of the world. But for now, we're going to start our journey in Asia. And we're going to start with the result of the round. I don't care what happens for the rest of the round. This is the result of the round. Oman have beaten Japan. They've beaten them. It's done. It's happened. When I looked at that group, I thought Japan will walk every game in that. And it's fair enough that I thought that. And that's no disrespect to Oman, but this has to be one of the best results, certainly in the recent history of Oman. An 88th minute winner in the backyard of Japan, who were massive, massive favourites for the game. Did it kill my international accumulator? Yes, it did. But do I care? Absolutely not. Japan 0, Oman 1. That is why we do this show. That's why we talk about it. Because of moments like that. 88th minute winner. Oh, stunning. Absolutely stunning. And on Saturday morning, on the Intercontinental Breakfast Show, me and the broski will no doubt be speaking in more detail about what that means for Oman and what that means for Japan as well. It's an incredible, incredible upset. More on that at the weekend. South Korea played Iraq. Again, banker for South Korea, you'd think. No, 0-0. Very interesting. We're going to dwell on some of these games too much because I don't want to tread on the toes of Saturday's show, but just going to run through the results so far. Iran beat Syria 1-0. You'd sort of expect that. Syria aren't a bad side. Got a few key players. If you play FIFA, you'll know a few of their players. But Iran, regular qualifiers of the World Cup. You may remember the last World Cup when the Iran player, late on against Spain, I believe, tried to take a throw-in by doing a flip. And that didn't work out so well. Iran are a very established footballing nation, and it's absolutely, fair enough that they won that game 1-0, which is sort of what you'd expect, close encounter. The UAE drew with Lebanon. Again, really good result for Lebanon there. Not very many goals in Asia. We've had 4 games so far, just 2 goals. Those are the games that are fully done. There's 2 games going on, which I'll get to in a moment. But really good result for Lebanon. UAE, obviously, they're not at the level that they will want to be at yet. They're certainly not the best side in the Middle East. But they are better than Lebanon, you'd say. So, well, it's close, and that's kind of proven by the fact that it was 0-0. I don't expect either of those sides to get out of the group, but at least they've both shared the points. And a couple of games underway right now. One of them, fair enough. The other, a bit of a shock. Or is it? Australia are 2-0 up against China. Again, Australia, seasoned vets at getting to the World Cup. Don't forget that we're talking about a nation here that were doing so well in Oceania. It was so easy for them that they left and joined Asian qualification just for more of a challenge, just for the shits and the giggles. Apologies about the foul language, but they're still doing it. Fair play to them. The Socceroos as well. Passionate. But not a minnow nation, Australia, of course. Why would they be? Look at the size of the country. But I think Australia as a nation probably don't get enough credit for the fact that they are pretty good at everything. Name a kind of key sport, a worldwide key sport, and they're pretty good at it. And you can sort of see that at the Olympics, but obviously, cricket, football, rugby, a great nation all round. But then again, it's a big enough place, isn't it? But the other one, which has just kicked off for the second half, is Saudi Arabia 0, Vietnam 1. That would be a huge, huge result. Huge result for Vietnam if that were to come through. Of course, they snuck through in the end in round 2. Did very well to do that. This next round, they are in the same group as Australia and China, so it's unlikely that they would do anything. But if they get themselves off to a winning start, same as Oman, who am I to say that Vietnam aren't going to get through? Incredible start. Obviously, it's very early days, but from an Oman point of view, that's all you want. They played it perfectly. Certainly in the first half, didn't touch the ball much, but then they grew into the game and got that late goal. It's the perfect underdog story with a 1-0. That wraps up where we are in Asia. So, where do we go? Let's go to CONCACAF. Let's just whittle through the games. There's only 4 of them. Of course, because we're in the octagonal, that start... Why am I saying every 2 seconds? Only 8 Apologies for that. It's a fool's game. It's a fool's game. There are 4 fixtures taking place in the early hours of tomorrow morning from a UK perspective, and they are Canada versus Honduras. Dunno. Panama, Costa Rica. Dunno. Mexico, Jamaica. Dunno. And El Salvador, the USA. The USA will definitely want to win that. As we said before, we're kind of at that point now where, apart from El Salvador, who are still a pretty solid nation, we're not in minnow territory anymore. 5 of the final 8 in CONCACAF auto-qualify for that, which, my views, I disagree with it, but they're not going to change it because of my opinion. So there's only 3 teams that have got there because they've actually beaten anyone else. And that is Canada, that is Panama, and El Salvador as well. The interesting thing to look out for is that Jamaica in recent years have got more and more players. Ravel Morrison, Jamal Lowe, Mikel Antonio, to name just a few. Antonio, the latest addition to their squad, that are now eligible to play for Jamaica. So there's no doubt that they will cause some problems, I'd imagine, to Mexico. That's probably my game of the round would be Mexico at home to Jamaica. A huge game for Jamaica to see what they can do. Mexico, obviously, a side, again, that just walk it. So you'd expect them to win that. Let me catch my breath for a moment as I've whittled through those fixtures. And then I will trot along to Africa, which kicked off yesterday, and we've got more games. And clips of those games, highlights of those games are available on YouTube. If you just Google the fixture, then the link will come up. Really, really enjoyable game, so definitely go and watch the highlights for that. It's been really enjoyable to this stage. Of course, as it says down the bottom, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe if you don't already. But the main thing is just pass on the message. Really appreciate all the support from everyone so far. But who else can we get involved? Can we get more live viewers on the Twitch? I'm seeing the YouTube stuff come in. It's great that people are watching it retrospectively. It'd be great if we got more live interaction. So by all means, like, follow, subscribe, but also just share. Just spread the message as well. Should we get into Africa then? I think we should. So there's so many fixtures to run through, and Africa is one of my favourite qualification routes, I have to say. I think that CONCACAF's brilliant in the early stages and then dries out as we get to this latter stage. But we're in the second round here of the African qualifiers. We're in the groups, the 10 groups, the winners of which then go into a 5v5 double legger to determine which 5 African nations they get an exact 5 slots for the World Cup. We've had some interesting results. Some results you'd expect, but a number that you wouldn't. The games are all wrapped up in Africa now as well. There's 2 more to cut. In fact, they're not all wrapped up. 2 are underway at the moment. Let me refresh. Don't imagine there's any goals yet. No, there's not. But you can watch live as well. So really good coverage of the African qualifiers, which is really good to see. Let's start with Central African Republic versus Cape Verde. 2 nations that you might not know too much about, but certainly one player you would have heard of for the Central African Republic is Jeffrey Kondogbia for Atletico Madrid. He represents Central African Republic, and Cape Verde also, Zé Luis up front is another player you may have heard of. Having said that, the 2 nations played out to a 1-1 draw. The game was played in Cameroon, and I must say, from watching the highlights, the conditions were terrible. It was pouring it down in Cameroon. I didn't know that was a thing. Did you know that was a thing? Rains in Cameroon? Anyway, the players got on. It was an entertaining game based on the highlights, and it finished Central African Republic 1, Cape Verde 1. And then there's the Guinea derby. Guinea-Bissau playing against Guinea. Guinea have some players you would know. Kamano used to play for Fulham. I'm not sure if he still does. Naby Keita, the most memorable player, obviously plays for Liverpool whenever he kind of gets a game or isn't injured, but represents Guinea internationally. And Guinea took the lead, and it was Kamano with it. An assist from Keita, marginal offside potentially, not given. And the goal stood. And then Guinea-Bissau scored. And I must say, it was poor defending, miscommunication at the back. You go watch the highlights, decide for yourself who's to blame. But when Guinea-Bissau scored that equaliser, it went off in that stadium. It went off, and it was fantastic to see the fans. And there was another chance. Late on, Guinea-Bissau. They were about this close to winning that game. Underdogs in the fixture. So close to winning it. But full-time 1-1. Attempted chip over the keeper. Didn't quite succeed. Nonetheless, a really good result for Guinea-Bissau in that game. Senegal 2, Togo 0. Togo, who used to, of course, have Emmanuel Adebayor, losing to Senegal. Sadio Mane scored. Nothing unexpected in that fixture. Mali beat Rwanda 1-0. Mali, obviously, you've seen the shirt. It's a fantastic shirt. Obviously, a far better footballing nation than Rwanda, so nothing unexpected there. Though I must say, I think it's not too bad a result for Rwanda. It's a 1-0 defeat. Moussa Marega, of course, the most famous player currently for Mali, certainly in an attacking sense. Then Libya played Gabon. Now, I'm not sure if Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang actually played. Can I see a lineup? Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang did play. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang did play. And was captain of Gabon. And they lost to Libya. Really interesting result, that one, actually. I didn't realise that Aubameyang played. I thought maybe he wasn't released to Gabon. But he was, and they still lost. Not great. Fantastic result for Libya in that game. Egypt played Angola. Went exactly as you'd expect to do. It was an Egypt win. It was 1-0, but a win nonetheless. They are a better footballing nation than Angola. Neither of them minnows, and they'll both do pretty well, I imagine, through qualification. But of course, Egypt decide that will definitely be pushing to qualify this time. Players like Salah, El Neni, to name just a few, they should have no troubles. Kenya played Uganda, one of the first times they've met in World Cup qualification history, and that was a 0-0. So not that entertaining. DR Congo played Tanzania. Samata, the Tanzanian forward, played against DR Congo. And Bakani still playing for DR Congo. Chancel and Bemba for them as well. Bakambu, Balassi, Asombalonga. Lots of names that you'd know. Lots of names that you'd know for DR Congo. And they'd have been hoping to win that at home to Tanzania. But they didn't. It was a 1-1 draw, which I must say is disappointing looking at that side for DR Congo. But not disappointing if you're a fan of the neutral, fan of the underdog. And Tanzania got themselves a good draw there. They are in the same group as Madagascar and Benin. And that game finished not too long ago. Madagascar 0. Benin 1. So Benin top a group with DRC, Tanzania and Madagascar. I really thought that Madagascar would win that game, to be honest, against Benin. There can't be a lot between the two sides internationally, but just thought the home advantage and the fact that, recently Madagascar have been on the up. They've got a number of good players. I really fancied Madagascar to do more in that game, but unfortunately not. And Benin topped that group. The other two fixtures then were Niger versus Burkina Faso. Niger, not as good as Burkina Faso, and that played out to a 2-0 Burkina Faso win. And Namibia played the Republic of Congo, so not DRC, but the Congo Republic itself. And that was a 1-1 draw. So a good result, I'd say, more for Namibia there than anything else. Quite incredible. In Namibia versus Congo, the goal scorer for Namibia, Charles Hambira. And then on the 57th minute, the goal scorer for Congo, well, it was a Charles Hambira own goal. So he has been heavily involved, Hambira, in those first round of fixtures. Better luck next time to him, scoring at the wrong end. But is he the hero or the villain? One at each end, and that's why we love it. That is why we love it. Current games underway. Algeria versus Djibouti. You'd expect it to be an Algeria win. And it currently is 1-0. They are in the same group as Burkina Faso and Niger. Expect it to be in Algeria to walk that group. Above Burkina Faso and Djibouti and Niger will battle it out themselves. Key players starting that you will know for Algeria. There's so many to run through. Obviously Riyad Mahrez and Slimani, who got the goal. The key figures, Faguli is on the bench. Doesn't look like Saeed Benrahma has travelled for that game. But they've probably looked at the fixtures. Maybe he didn't need to. Not sure why he doesn't appear to be in the squad for that game. And Morocco have literally just scored this second against Sudan. Sudan, who's Ramadan Agab, who's top scorer, certainly to this point. He now won't be because I think I've said now he won't be. I don't know if that's true or not. I believe he's been overtaken already. Is he playing, Ramadan Agab? No, he's not. He's a substitute in this game, and they are losing 1-0 to Morocco. You would expect them to lose to Morocco, and it's good to see that Adel Taarabt is playing for the Moroccans. Lots of fixtures to look out for in the African World Cup qualifiers. Tomorrow, Mozambique, Ivory Coast, Zimbabwe, South Africa. I'm just going to rattle these off. Nigeria, Libya, Mauritania, Zambia, Tunisia, Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Malawi, Ghana, Ethiopia, and that is just tomorrow. Wow, I love the African qualifiers. That is sensational. Games to look out for. See, Vietnam have now... Oh dear. Vietnam have had a man sent off, and from the resulting penalty, Saudi Arabia have equalised. So we will have to see. No more games till next week in the AFC. Games tomorrow in Africa. Nothing until tomorrow in CONCACAF, but there will be a deeper dive into all of these fixtures and what we predict for the rest of the outcome on the show on Saturday morning, UK time. I will be getting myself a croissant, but I will not be eating it because that would be disgusting and it would be like ASMR. But not enjoyable ASMR, horrible ASMR of me eating pastry. So we'll avoid that if we can, and then I will eat them after the show. And now I'm just going on about croissants, but that's how it goes. When it's me by myself, you know that I speak quickly and the conversation drifts. That's why I need my anchor with me. I did say anchor, there wasn't a W at the beginning there, I'm certain of that. He'll be back on Saturday morning for the show, which will be fantastic. Until then, like I said, like, follow, subscribe, share as much as you want what DNQ is and what DNQ is trying to do. I need to sort out the lighting. I don't think this has been too bad, actually, in comparison to what it would be, which is this, which would be terrible. And, oh, that's about right. But yeah, thanks for joining. We've had a couple of live viewers, which is great to see. If you don't follow already, then please do. And for anyone watching it back on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Normally it takes me about 15 minutes to end these things because I keep thanking people and this and that and the other. That's not going to be the case this evening. It's just been me. I've just been rattling through. I hope you've had the kettle on and a cup of tea by your side as you found out about all the wonderful score lines that have taken place. And of course, as I said earlier, result of the round goes to Oman. Congratulations to them. Fantastic start to World Cup qualification. There's nothing left for me to say today. I hope that you join us on Saturday, and I will see you then. So, in the interest of not taking an eternity to wrap it up, TTFN, ta-ta for now.